Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. I have to say, the very opening credits of this were a little off-putting. Dr. Jeffers is considered one of the top self-help authors of the world. In fact, the Times in London has dubbed Susan the Queen of Self-Help. I've never heard of this author ever, only this book. I've reviewed I think 300 books on this channel so far, most of them about self-help. Writing this part, I thought to myself that perhaps this 18-month-long bender, Sam, that I had been on reviewing this string of new celebrity memoirs that never stopped for longer than a month or so has really jaded and separated me from self-help, and maybe I just need to shut up, feel the fear, do it anyway, and get back to the basics. We have reviewed more self-help books on this channel than that of any other genre because I believe that when self-help is normal, the world will truly be a better place on more levels than anything else could cause it to be. This book was originally published in 1987, and it has sold 2 million copies, which is a lot of copies. It has left its own legacy, and people do say that it is what truly launched Jeffers' writing and speaking career. But let's see what this book is about and what makes it so special. I'll summarize this book, I'll review it, I'll throw my thoughts in on the chapters, things I liked, things I maybe wasn't so crazy about. We'll go over some standout quotes, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. It does sound like a lot of stuff, but we always tend to get through it. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. Chapter 1 is what are you afraid of and why? Has anyone ever asked you this question? What are you afraid of? It's a very useful question to ask yourself. I think the main reason is that it causes you to shift your focus from the actual fear you have to what it is specifically that you're truly afraid of. Once you think of this, you can identify it, and once you identify it, it's like, wait, why am I afraid of this? Is it actually that bad? Is it really worth being afraid of? Or could I maybe handle it? Just like questioning negative things and just taking a second to step back and do that, it can be incredibly helpful. You learn about level 1, 2, and 3 fears that happen and require action, fears of our ego, and fears about not being able to handle things. Chapter 2, can't you make it go away? Come to think of it, when's the last time you checked out a book that was entirely about fear? I want to talk about things that make this unique book. As Jeffers says, the only way to get rid of the fear is going out and doing it. Revolutionary, right? Other people, in my experience, they have said that, it literally just comes with experience and practice. What I've noticed is that practice will enrich the quality of experience, and if you practice something that you're scared of doing, when you do it, it's a lot less scary than you thought it would be. Chapter 3, From Pain to Power. She puts an emphasis in this chapter on basically taking responsibility for what you're scared of, or at least that's kind of how I understood it. Now, the way she does this, it's not like victim shaming, if that makes sense. In this chapter, she goes over words to tell yourself to instead of other ones that increase self-doubt, and she calls this moving from a pain to power vocabulary. Chapter 4 is whether you want it or not, it's yours. And this goes over more like real world examples, very realistic and relatable examples of how this works, but like changing can't to won't, should to could, not my fault to I'm totally responsible, it's a problem to it's an opportunity, I'm never satisfied to I want to learn and grow, life's a struggle to life's an adventure, and plenty more. Chapter 5 is Pollyanna Rides Again. By the way, just throwing this out there, the audio version is very badly mixed. I did stick around and I got used to it pretty quickly, but it's not exactly the best thing for an audiobook. Pollyanna, by the way, which I had literally never heard of before checking this book out, is an excessively optimistic and cheerful person. People say don't be such a Pollyanna. I like to think of myself as a total Pollyanna, and at the same time, I don't think anyone's ever told me that. The same type of people I imagine are this type of people who say, I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic. What are you getting out of that instead of being positive? Like knowing what's gonna happen? How often does any of that stuff actually happen? And do you think that maybe it might just be happening because you're focusing so much on it and that's what you're realizing instead of the positive results? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Being pessimistic, you're not being pessimistic, really? People act like the only realities that exist are negative ones. What? Chapter 6 is when they don't want you to grow. Here we learn about reactions other people have to when you start start to change and they just can't exactly stand it. If you have taken the time to watch this video, I'm guessing that you've probably been through something in your life where you've experienced something like that and the other person just they literally can't even. Chapter 7 is how to make a no-lose decision. With these larger decisions, at least, this philosophy is actually, it's really similar to mine. She said that the trick is to make whatever place you're in your educational forum and learn whatever you can about yourself and the world around you. Whatever happens as a result of your decision, you'll handle it, but overall, you will get something out of it. Chapter 8, how whole is your whole life? To make your life whole, she advised being there 100%. And the quality of your life will improve 100%. It makes other people feel too like they count, and it makes the environment more fun to work in, and it'll make your life feel more whole. That's what it does. Chapter 9 is just nod your head and say yes. I love how she uses like stories from her classes, and she also analyzes the results. Marge shared with the class the pain she felt when her husband died. Yes, she missed her husband and the warmth and companionship that he had given her, but she was also aware of how she transformed herself from a dependent to an independent person when she was left to her own resources. Her sense of self-esteem had increased enormously as she slowly learned to take risks she had never taken before. She was able to say yes to life and create a whole new world for herself. Chapter 10, choosing love and trust. I have to admit, this is a pretty well-written and all-encompassing book. This was yet another approach of like tackling and conquering fear, or in this case, feeling it and doing it anyway, of something that we're opposed to doing out of fear. Is it just me, or was that like a very poorly phrased sentence? This chapter addressed when you don't like the idea of giving and expecting nothing in return, as well as like ways to give and what we can give that people appreciate, possibly no matter who they are, and even misconceptions about giving what we often have. Chapter 11 is filling the inner void. Jeffers clearly had a bone to pick with this inner void. This is the longest chapter in the book, and I'm glad that it was toward the end, because I love when the author takes the concept of a book and ties everything together in the end by explaining how it applies to a sense of inner purpose and something out there that's just bigger than us. A good example of this is like what Robert Greene did in The Laws of Human Nature, or Napoleon Hill with The Law of Success. Chapter 12 is There's Plenty of Time. Overall, it's worth a read and it is worth a listen. The author's pleasant personality and intentions blanket the point of the book, which gives it a unique touch. Are they really dynamic techniques for turning fear, indecision, and anger into power, action, and love? My answer is yes. She had her eye on the ball the whole time, but my answer is not the answer that matters the most. Quotes. Angels fly because they take themselves lightly. The pathway is smooth. Why do you throw rocks before you? I know of no one who's been able to make positive a permanent way of thinking without practice. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. Nothing is very frightening considering how dangerous everything is. We have all been taught the illusion of giving, but not the actuality of giving. I recently read a newspaper account of an immensely rich man who still has nightmares about losing everything. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone who struggles with fear on a constant basis. It has its quirks and perspectives here and there, but most things that we're scared of, intangible things by the way, not like spiders or bees, we're talking about things that you physically cannot see and probably don't consciously think about all that often. They are addressed, or at least the first ones many of us could name. It's much more informative and instructive than authors with more like tangent-like or anecdotal styles of teaching, like nothing against these people, Mel Robbins or Ryan Holiday. Direction 2. If you like this book, check out Rejection Proof by Jia Zhang. Also, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, High Five Habit by Mel Robbins, that's a really good one. And for another classic with that several decade-old self-help field, I'd recommend Who Moved My Cheese? Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.